Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Rita and I'm the supervisor professor Dr. Saira Abdul. Today I will be presenting Cholera. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Quote for today is: Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. Robert Louis Stevenson. Learning outline: Introduction of cholera, epidemiological triad, chain of transmission, clinical stages, levels of prevention, and recent advances. Learning outcome. At the end of this presentation, participants would be able to describe the epidemiological triad and prevention aspects of this infection, explain the factors that contribute to its spread, and knowledge of recent advances. Case presentation. A patient was 27 years old. He was infected by eating contaminated food and water or by eating uncooked food or contaminated foods. After 24 to 48-hour period, symptoms began with sudden onset of painless, watery diarrhea that quickly becomes voluminous and followed by vomiting. He vomits if he eats or drinks anything. After a day, his color becomes pale yellow and he became weak due to dehydration by loose motions and vomiting. In the first day of infection, he drank some rehydration solutions, but it was not very effective. He experienced accompanying abdominal cramps, probably from distension of loops of small bowel as a result of large volume of intestinal secretions, and fever was absent. Diagnosis. He went to the hospital where a proper checkup was performed. Doctors advised him for a few tests, which included CBC, ESR, rapid stool test to identify cholera bacteria. And doctors then confirmed cholera by identifying the bacteria in the stool sample, checked the report properly, and then gave him first line therapy. History. 7 cholera pandemics have occurred in the past 200 years, with the first pandemic originating in India in around 1817. The timeline of the pandemics is basically given, and the seventh pandemic was basically between 1961 to 1975, and the first one being from 1816 to 1826. Outbreaks occur across the developing world to the current day. Epidemics occur after wars, civil unrest, or natural disasters when food and water supplies become contaminated with Vibrio cholera, and also due to crowded living conditions as well as poor sanitation. The Public Health Act of 1875 later helped to eliminate this problem as local authorities replaced the local boards, which became responsible for the provision of clean water, proper drainage, and sewage systems. Introduction. Cholera is an acute diarrheal disease caused by Vibrio cholera 1, classical or E1 tour, commonly due to E1 tour biotype. Cases range from symptomless to severe infection. Majority of infections are mild or asymptomatic. Typical cases are categorized by the sudden onset of profuse, effortless, watery diarrhea, followed by vomiting, rapid dehydration, muscular cramps, and suppression of urine. Unless there is rapid replacement of fluid and electrolytes, the fertility may be as high as 30 to 40%. Epidemiological features. Cholera is both an epidemic and an endemic disease. The endemicity of the disease will depend on characteristics of the agent as well as the environment. Epidemiological determinants include agent, host, as well as environment. Agent: the organism that causes cholera is labeled as Vibrio cholera O group 1 or Vibrio cholera 1. The term for epidemic strain is used for these Vibrios. Within the zero group 1, 2 biotypes, classical and E1 tor, have been differentiated, but now most commonly cholera is caused by E1 tor biotype. It's a gram-negative curd bacteria and it's positive for oxidase, grows in alkaline media, and is a facultative anaerobe. Resistance. Vibrio cholera is killed within 30 minutes by heating at 56 degrees Celsius or within a few seconds by boiling. It remains in ice for 4 to 6 weeks or longer. Drying in sunshine will kill them in a few hours. They are easily destroyed by core tar disinfectants such as Cresol. Bleaching powder is another good disinfectant. Toxin production. Vibrios multiply in the lumen of small intestine and produce an endotoxin. Enterotoxin. This toxin produces diarrhea through its effects on the CAMP system of mucosal cells of small intestine. It has no effect on any other tissue. Infective dose. Cholera is dose related. Infection occurs when the number of Vibrios ingested exceeds the dose that is infective for the individual host. Number one, age and sex. All ages and sex are susceptible. In endemic areas, attack rate is highest in children. Gastric acidity, it is an effective barrier. The Vibrio is destroyed in an acidity of pH 5 or lower. Conditions that reduce gastric acidity may influence individual susceptibility. Population mobility, movement of population, example, pilgrimages, marriage fairs and festivals resulted in increased risk of exposure to infection. Economic status, incidence is higher in lower socioeconomic groups and mainly due to poor hygiene. Immunity, natural infection confers quite effective immunity and is mediated by local intestinal immune system. Vaccination gives only temporary partial immunity for 3 to 6 months. Environment, poor environmental sanitation includes contaminated water and food. Social factors responsible for the endemicity of cholera compromises of certain human habits favoring water and soil pollution, low standards of personal hygiene, and lack of education and poor quality of life. Chain of transmission. Reservoir. Human being is the only known reservoir of cholera infection, may be a case or a carrier. Cases inapparent infection to severe. In cholera, even though most infections are mild and asymptomatic, it is the mild and asymptomatic cases that play a significant role in maintaining the endemic reservoir. Carriers, usually temporary, rarely chronic, they also make important contribution to the reservoir of infection. Since carriers excrete fewer Vibrios than clinical cases, carriers are best detected by bacteriological examination. There are 4 types of carriers in cholera. The first one, preclinical or incubatory carrier. Incubation period is a 1 to 5 days, so these carriers are potential patients. Convalescent carriers, patients who have recovered from cholera and may continue to excrete Vibrios during the convalescent stage for 2 to 3 weeks. Contact or healthy carrier, results of subclinical infection contracted with source of infection or infected environment. And then there's the chronic carrier, which occurs infrequently. Longest was found to be over 10 years, and gallbladder is infective in chronic cases. Source. The immediate source of infection are the stools and the vomit of cases and carriers. Large number of Vibrios that per ml of fluid are present in the stools of cholera patient, and average patient excretes about 10 to 20 liters of fluid. Carriers excrete fewer Vibrios than the cases, which is between 10 square to 10 fifth Vibrios per gram of stool, and as we saw that in the other case, there is a large number that is 0 raised to the power 1 or 10 raised to the power 9 Vibrios per ml of fluid. Mode of transmission. Transmission occurs from man to man via fecally contaminated water, contaminated food and drinks, as well as direct contact with contaminated hands of excreta and vomit of patients, and also contaminated linens and fomites. Incubation period from a few hours up to a few days, but usually it's between 1 to 2 days. Period of communicability cases 7 to 10 days, convalescent carriers 2 to 3 weeks, and chronic carriers 10 years or more. Pathogenesis cholera is a potentially an epidemic and life-threatening secretory diarrhea categorized by numerous voluminous watery stools, often accompanied by vomiting, resulting in hypovolemic shock as well as acidosis. The source of infection is water or contaminated food with cholera bacteria and an epidemic feces of diseased person. Treatment is salt solution intravenous fluids as well as antibiotics. Risk of infection amongst those affected is usually less than 5%, but may be as high as 50. In the large intestine, bacteria multiply rapidly. Bacteria release the cholera toxin, which penetrates into the intestinal wall. Toxin prevents the absorption of water by the intestine, leading to hypovolemic shock and dehydration. Clinical features. Severity of cholera is dependent on the rapidity and duration of fluid loss. It can lead to low blood pressure, increased thirst, rapid weight loss, and loss of skin elasticity. Stages of cholera. Number 1 stage of evacuation onset is abrupt with profuse, painless, watery diarrhea followed by vomiting. Patient may pass as many as 40 stools in a day, and stools have rice water appearance. Stage of collapse. Patient soon passes to a stage of collapse due to dehydration. Classical signs include sunken eyes, hollow cheeks, scaphoid abdomen, subnormal temperature, absent pulse, unrecordable BP, loss of skin elasticity, shallow and quick respiration, decreased urine output. Death may occur due to dehydration and acidosis resulting from diarrhea. And three is the stage of recovery. That is when if death does not occur, the patient shows signs of clinical improvement, but if anuria persists, the patient may die of renal failure. Lab diagnosis. Diagnosis on clinical grounds can never be made. Lab diagnosis is required to confirm cholera being present. So what you need to do is collection of stools, vomitus, water sample, food samples, transportation, direct examination, culture methods, characterization, as well as biochemical tests. Levels of prevention include primary prevention, which is health promotion and specific protection. Health promotion, the most effective prophylactic measure, um, it should be directed mainly to the effectiveness or simplicity of oral rehydration therapy, the benefits of early reporting for prompt treatment, food hygiene practices, hand washing after defecation and before eating, the benefits of eating cooked hot foods and safe water. Since cholera is mainly a disease of poor and ignorant, these groups should basically be tackled first. And how to prevent infection in places where cholera is already present. First of all, ensuring that you drink bottled water or water that's been treated. Food should be thoroughly cooked. Individuals should peel their own fruits. Be wary of ice, raw foods, ice cream, as well as street food. Wash hands frequently and thoroughly. Specific protection is through vaccination. The first cholera vaccine in 1879 to 1883 was a major scientific breakthrough towards the treatment of cholera development. The first immunization by Pasteur, the development of the first cholera vaccine, identification of bacterium Vibrio cholera was by Filippo Piccini and Robert Koch. Cholera vaccine consists of 2 doses, subcutaneous at the interval of 4 to 6 weeks. Boosters are recommended after every 6 months and not recommended for pregnant and women as well as persons with previous history of sensitivity reactions. Oral cholera vaccines are often used as an emergency medication in the event of severe outbreaks. This is complemented with improved sanitation, increased awareness about cholera prevention. Secondary prevention of spread of cholera by the rapid investigation of close contacts to ensure their proper treatment. Control and treatment of cholera. Best way to control cholera is to develop and implement a national program for the control of all diarrheal diseases because similarities in epidemiology, pathophysiology, treatment and control of cholera and other acute diarrheal diseases. Guidelines for cholera control by WHO. Number one, verification of the diagnosis. Confirmation of the outbreak as quickly as possible. Investigation of all cases of diarrhea. For the specific diagnosis of cholera, identify Vibrio cholera 1 in the stools of patients. Notification. Cholera is a notifiable disease locally, nationally, and internationally. Health workers should be trained to identify and notify cases immediately to the local health authorities. Early case finding, establishment of treatment centers necessary to establish easily accessible treatment facilities in the community. Mildly dehydrated patients should be treated at home with oral rehydration fluid, which is over 90% of cases. Severely dehydrated patients requiring IV fluids should be transferred to the nearest treatment center or hospital. In areas where peripheral health center services are poor, then mobile teams should be established at a district level. Rehydration therapy. Cholera is now the most effectively treated disease. Mortality rates have been brought to less than 1% by effective rehydration therapy, and this can be oral or IV. Oral rehydration packets of oral rehydration mixture are freely available at the primary health centers. The contents of the packet are dissolved in 1 liter of drinking water and consumed within 24 hours. If this packet WHO mixture of salts is not available, then table salt 5 grams and sugar 20 grams is dissolved in 1 liter of drinking water and can be safely used. Indigenous ORS, which is homemade. Older children and adults given water in addition to ORS according to the dehydration level. This is basically a representation on how to make the ORS solution and also how to basically use it. You wash your hands and then you basically use sterile utensils and you put 1 liter of water in a clean container, put ORS powder, dissolve, and then add it to a 1 liter bottle. Intravenous rehydration. It is usually only for the initial rehydration of severely dehydrated patients who are in shock or unable to drink water. The solution recommended by WHO for IV use are Ringer's lactate solution or Hartmann solution, also known as diarrheal treatment solutions. Then we come to sanitation measures, chemoprophylaxis or tetracycline is the drug of choice. Vaccination as well as health education. Adjuncts to therapy include antibiotics, where tetracycline is the most effective and superior to Quercetin, clomiphenol, and sulfaguanimides should be given as soon as vomiting stops, which is usually after 3 to 4 hours of oral rehydration. No other medication should be given, like antidiarrheal, antiemetics, antispasmodics, or corticosteroids. If diarrhea persists after 48 hours of treatment, resistance to antibiotics should be suspected. Then we come to recent updates. Current situation in 2021, 23 countries reported cholera outbreaks, mainly in the WHO regions of Africa as well as in Eastern Mediterranean side. 2022, the trend continued into 2022 as 30 countries across 5 of the 6 WHO regions reported cholera cases or outbreaks. According to WHO, cholera is now endemic in many countries, mostly in sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and in Americas. Ending cholera, a global roadmap to 2030. A global roadmap to 2030 is a new global strategy for cholera control at the country level developed by the Health and Development Organizations, including WHO, through Global Task Force on Cholera Control. The goal is to reduce cholera deaths by 90% and eliminate disease transmission in as many as 20 countries by 2030. The roadmap proposes more effective control will be achieved through targeted and sustained preventive interventions in cholera hotspots, including the provision of clean water, adequate sanitation, hygiene facilities, and access to oral cholera vaccine. It was endorsed this year at the World Health Assembly as part of the global resolution to address cholera. Cholera kits. To treat 100 cases at different levels of care or perform lab analysis of 100 samples. Background to this was that for several years, agencies supporting preparedness and response to cholera have supplied medicines and medical devices through the inter interagency diarrheal disease kits in an effort to better align the presentation and content of the kits to field needs and composition of cholera kits have been reviewed by WHO as well as its partners. The RISE Cholera Kits 2020 are designed to help prepare for a potential cholera outbreak and to support first month of initial response for 100 cases. The overall package consists of 6 different kits, each divided into several modules, which include a central reference kit, peripheral kit, community kit, and when there's no and a hardware kit, and then there's an investigation kit, and then a lab kit, which is also known as a checklist kit. The WHO cholera kits are basically treatment kits. There are 3 types of treatment kits that each have supplies for 100 people, central, peripheral, as well as at community level. These include ORS, cups, IV fluids, giving sets, drugs, cholera beds, cholera test kits, stationery, documents, examination of soap, sampling materials, plastic buckets, jerry cans, medical equipment, and these are tailor-made to prepare for outbreaks and to meet the needs, especially at the initial response level. Then there's the investigation and lab kits, which include rapid diagnostic tests, sampling materials, examination gloves, filter paper, growth media, Vibrio cholera, and antibiotic discs. And then there's hardware kits, which include tents, water tanks, chlorine test kits, solar lamps, cholera beds, plastic sheeting, and squatting plates to create pop-up clinics where none exist. And basically, research has estimated that each year there are up to 4 million cases and up to 143,000 deaths. And this provides an example of and this is basically a representation of what the kits contain at the treatment kit, investigation kit, and hardware kit level. Now we will come to the MCQs. Question number 1. A watery stool sample was collected from the 5-year-old boy who was suffering from diarrhea for 2 days. After incubation in high pH media containing sodium chloride, smooth and round colonies appeared. Gram-negative motile comma-shaped bacteria was observed after microscope examination. Name the possible bacteria. A. Aeronomus hydrophilia. B. E. coli. C. Helicobacter pylori. D. Vibrio cholera. Or E. Salmonella.
B.
No, the answer is cholera. D. Question number 2. Cholera is predominantly mainly in developed countries where there is a lack of clean water drinking supply. Name the type of diarrheal infection associated with cholera. A. Acute watery bloody diarrhea. B. Acute watery rice water diarrhea. C. Mild watery diarrhea. D. Acute watery diarrhea with no blood. Or E. Mild bloody diarrhea.
B.
Yes, that is correct.
B.
B. Question 3. The organism that causes cholera is labeled as Vibrio cholera 0 group 1 or Vibrio cholera O1. The term epidemic strain is used for these Vibria. Which of the following biotypes of Vibrio cholera is present in the developing countries? A. E1 or B. Classical. C. Biotype 0139. D. Biotype 139 or E. Vibrio harvie.
E.
The answer is
A.
A. Yes, that is correct. Question 4. Patient XYZ came to the emergency department with presenting complaint of severe diarrhea and abdominal pain. After investigation, he was diagnosed with cholera. Cholera is an acute diarrheal illness caused by infection of the intestines. All of the following are common cholera symptoms except for A. Diarrhea, B. Dehydration, C. Vomiting, D. High-grade fever, and E. Rapid weight loss.
E.
B. The answer is high-grade fever. It's not that common. Question 5. Cholera is now the most effectively treated disease. Mortality rates have been brought down to less than 1% by effective therapy. Which of the following is the most commonly used, easy, and effective method for the treatment of cholera symptoms in the developing countries? A. Continuous oral rehydration with electrolytes. B. Intake of omeprazole medication after onset of cholera infection. C. Vaccination methods. D. IV fluids. Or E. Antibiotics.
A.
Yes,
A.
the answer is A.
D.
A. Question 6. Man-to-man transmission of cholera infection is very easy. People can get sick when they swallow food or water contaminated with cholera bacteria. Most powerful mode of transmission of cholera is A. Flies, B. Food, C. Fingers, D. Feces, E. Fomites.
D.
Yes,
D.
B.
the answer
D.
is D. Feces. Question 7. Antibiotics in cholera should be given as soon as vomiting is stopped, which is usually after 3 to 4 hours of oral rehydration. No other medication should be given like antidiarrheal, antiemetics, antispasmodics, or corticosteroids. WHO recommendation for the use of antibiotics against cholera is A. Ampicillin, B. Chloramphenicol, C. Tetracycline, D. Cephalosporin, or E. Penicillin.
C.
D? Yes, the answer is C, which is tetracycline. Question 8. Cholera vaccine is very effective in preventing cholera, but it should not be given to pregnant women and persons with previous history of sensitivity. Which of the following is true regarding cholera vaccine? A. It is highly effective vaccine. B. It is given in a dose of 0.05 cc. C. It contains 500 millions of Vibrio cholera. D. It's given in 2 doses 4 to 6 weeks apart. Or E. It contains Inaba strain only.
D.
Yes, the answer is
D.
D. D. Question 9. In cases of cholera, healthy individuals are given antibiotics with the aim of protecting them against disease. Chemoprophylaxis with tetracycline is indicated in cholera case 4A. Pregnant females, children below 5 years of age, elderly above 65 years of age. D. Household contact or E. Doctors as well as paramedic staff.
B.
No, the answer is
B.
D. Household contacts of a person who is infective. So anyone who is in close proximity of that person living in that house is given it to avoid getting it. Question 10. Infected stools with Vibrio cholera is the main source of contamination and spread of infection. With effective antibiotic treatment, stool of an infective case became Vibrio cholera free in how many hours? Options are A, 12 hours, B, 24 hours, C, 36 hours, D, 48 hours, or E, 72 hours.
E. E.
Yes, the answer is D, which is basically 48 hours. This is the key. Please subscribe, and this is the link to the YouTube channel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation and very well elaborated. There are a lot of work that is being done on cholera vaccine, and we know that both oral as well as parenteral vaccines, they are available, and especially where there are floods, earthquakes, or any displaced persons like in Gaza and other areas, they need lot of epidemic control through those vaccines. So I would like the students to please also elaborate the differences between the oral vaccine and the parenteral vaccine. What are the efficacy levels and how we can have the guidelines in our policies to help us to decrease the epidemic and the spread of the disease, and to do the outbreak investigation if such case is being reported. We know there are certain areas and pockets, even in the slums and peri-urban, and even in the urban areas where we have the continuous outbreaks of cholera. So these two slides must be added, otherwise it is a very good presentation. Thank you very much. So see you today, inshallah, in the department.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Allah Hafiz.